be successful, maximizing your marketing, maximizing your sales, those are going to be key components, obviously, because that's what generates revenue for you. And depending on the business, they're very different processes. As an example, if we're taking McDonald's, they run commercials. That's their marketing. Their sales is people just pull up to the window and order. Simple and done. Now, if we're
it's brand advertising.
Correct. Yeah. And
Coca-Cola runs a big,
Yep. Now, if I go back to when I was a personal trainer, had a brick and mortar business, we had to either do word of mouth for referrals, get out in the community, run ads on Facebook locally. Sales now was done by either myself or my business partner at the time, that we had to meet with those individuals one-on-one, have a discussion, go through, figure out where they were at, what problems they were having, and then go through how we're going to solve that for them. Those are two very different sales processes that also can't be done if the marketing tactics up front aren't done correctly. Looking at marketing and sales, you've done a wide range, you've helped people do a wide range. Why do you see this being like one of the key components for a business actually being successful?
There are two reasons. First of all, it's a big expense, either time or money or both.
Yep.
It's also where the money comes from. So it requires a huge investment, and it's the main driver of anybody's business. So the great thing is that when you have somebody who doesn't really have a marketing program, it really is just bootstrapping in the beginning. The great thing is we see a huge bump in results just by laying out, designing an effective and budget-friendly marketing campaign. That doesn't have to cost a lot of money. In fact, it doesn't have to cost any money. There are many ways to do this. One of the great things about sales and marketing, about advertising and marketing, is that there are so many different ways to reach your people. What I mean by your people, the people that are really going to become your biggest fans.
Yeah, and we have guides that talk about how to set your pricing, talking about your market dominating position. All of those are key when it comes down to how you're going to do your marketing and sales, and also where you should focus it to get the biggest bang for your buck at the very beginning. And I think you said something very key. It's either time or money, right? And so like when I started a business, instead of spending money on paid ads, I was spending my time a couple hours every day to be networking, making connections, building.
Perfectly legitimate way to do it.
Now, and so it saved me a lot of money, generated money, but it also costed a lot of time. But that paid off really fast to where then it snowballs, and then you can start marketing. But now you have built networks, you've built relationships that are long lasting, giving you a huge foundation that will be bringing people in. Now you add a second area. And the analogy I always use, kind of like when you're building a business, when you're looking at marketing and sales, you can only build a skyscraper so tall before it topples over. It's best to build a skyscraper up, then build another one and another one and another one. And marketing and sales, you can build multiple skyscrapers. That's when you have an extremely profitable business going at that point.
So here's what I want to say about sales and marketing. And in fact, this applies to all the guides that are in our Facebook group and all the areas that we work with our clients to improve their businesses. And that is that the reason, let me rephrase that. The way that we make marketing and sales manageable is we focus, we get a laser focus on who our perfect clients are. So this is where that market research really, really will deliver huge dividends. And that is that right now, most people think, I think it's probably the common wisdom, they start a business, they need to get the word out to everybody. Everybody in the world needs to know about them so that they can get some business. Well, it's kind of it sort of intuitively maybe makes sense, I think, but what would happen if everybody showed up? I mean, if you're running a tailor shop or a restaurant or a dry cleaner, what would you do if it worked and everybody came? You know, you'd probably have to shut down. It'd be so chaotic. And they're not going to come. The thing is, when you try to speak to everybody, you end up usually speaking to no one.
Correct.
And the reason is because we all require a different message. I'm about 15 years older than Scott. So I would think that people trying to sell you something, they're probably going to need a different message to sell me. And for me, it's probably going to have an AARP label on it.
Well, it's not just age; it's a lot of different factors in our life.
Sure, of course, yeah, of course, yeah. It's not just I'm just making fun of myself a little bit, but the point is that if you try to speak to both of us, you're probably going to miss both of us. But if you just really focus on your core, remember I said your people, the people. So when you do this, one of the effects is you get a core group of really rabid fans, people that just think you're the greatest thing ever. And I'm going to use this example. I had the worst case of tendonitis ever in my arm. I could not hold. Just holding a bottle of water was really painful. And as my wife's best friend, she had some pain, and she had found this clinic, and this guy has this special thing. In fact, it's so special that he told her in advance, all right, you're going to need 6 treatments, and then your pain is going to be gone. She came for 6 treatments. Her pain was gone. He didn't use any medicine. There's no injections. There's nothing like that. So I went to him. I had a bad shoulder, and then this tendonitis. Takes a look at my shoulder. 10 seconds it took him. He said, your shoulder is shot. I can't do anything for it. He took a look at my arm. Again, 10 seconds. He said, you're going to need 6 treatments. The pain will be gone. I went 6 times. The pain was gone. I mean, do you understand? I mean, that is a perfect business. He told me.
And with that type of scenario, you can really make your marketing super powerful by
your pain will be gone in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Now you can't put that in the ad, but I mean,
but you have those stories, and that marketing can be referrals, word of mouth, and you can technically put things, depending on how marketing is done, you can have those stories put in there that do the selling for you, right?
So they wouldn't with a client like that. Let's just talk about this for a second. If that company came to us as a client, like I don't think we would tell them to advertise to. We would not tell them to advertise to everybody. We wouldn't tell them to advertise to old people. We would probably focus on athletes, maybe, because they have a lot of these sport. It was a sport, by the way, they had a heavy emphasis on sports. That's I'm leaving that out. There was a heavy emphasis. So that's probably what we would do. So we're just speaking to a particular group of people, runners, people that are going to have aches. Tennis players, maybe. I mean, it was tennis elbow that I had. That was really what it was, the tendonitis. Target tennis. I mean, tennis players in their late 50s, early 60s. Don't want to give too much away here. You're concentrating your efforts. If it's time you're spending, if it's money you're spending, if it's both, you're going to concentrate the expenditure of those resources on just the people that are most interested in your message.
And that's a really good thing to look at too. Kind of when I kind of said, hey, you're trying to build different skyscrapers, again, with some of my past history of help people reverse rheumatoid arthritis, I had very specific marketing and sales process for that. Inside that business, I also had very specific for people that were looking for one-on-one private help for solving a certain specific solution and doing it privately. That was number 2. And then number 3 way of marketing was, hey, we do group sessions, come in, do blah, blah, blah. All 3 had very different marketing. All 3 had very different sales process to be growing the company.
Of course,
And
that's a little advanced. We would just start with one.
correct. But I'm giving people an example of like the example of the pain clinic you went to. Yeah, we could target just towards athletes, but it wouldn't be just limited there depending on what the offer is.
No. This is not about limitation. This
Yes,
is not
right.
about limitation. Okay, I'm sorry. I think, Scott, you bring up a great point that I think I overlooked. We're not talking about limiting. There's no rule that says you can't sell to all the other people also. But you want to have a targeted message. You just want to target one group. Target the other ones later. I mean, make that your next campaign. That you can still do that, but you'll still just be speaking to one group of people with
And that's
unified message.
and you and I are both speaking the same language here, to where if that pain clinic or like myself, hey, if I would just speak to everybody, hey, we help you get fit, no matter what age you are, no matter what your health condition, we'd get nobody, right? But if I talk to each specific, then it's very powerful. And that goes back to your point of, if you're speaking to everybody, you're speaking to nobody. And that's where marketing becomes really important. And that the marketing piece really evolved from when we look at someone's marketing dominating position, problems they're solving, the pricing, the marketing is going to reflect those type of things. And that's why it's so important for a business, is majority of them, they don't have, as you pointed out, essentially a magnifying glass to get it laser pointed, accurate to target a certain person, so they immediately know that you're the perfect fit for them. And that's where marketing becomes huge. And then sales is very important as well, which a lot of people miss. As an example, talking about marketing and sales, one of the things nationwide that's a very popular niche company and industry right now is solar. How do you separate from solar when you're all doing the same thing? You're all getting governments, blah, blah. Lots of times it comes down to how good is that person at sales to be able to door knock, to be able to outreach people and communicate with them. A lot of people, when they have a business, depending on their sales process, their sales in the back end is failing them drastically. That could be an ad that goes to a cart and it's not congruent to actually getting someone to buy very easily. It could be talking to someone individual that might be a sales professional, and they don't know actually how to approach this person, how to have the conversation, how to actually help that person make the best decision for themselves. So sales process is really important. And if the marketing up front is wrong, it's going to set the sales piece incorrectly. And both of them kind of become, which came first for a business to be successful, chicken or the egg? Well, kind of both. And you need to make sure both are done